I rise in opposition to this bill and for the small sprouts of the entrepreneurs out in our community.
Please proceed.
Speaker, I spoke earlier about the entrepreneurs of America as the salvation of this nation. Without entrepreneurs, there's no economic development. Without entrepreneurs, there's no job creation. These are the engines by which you catalyze land, labor, capital, etc. And we have a dearth of those in our community with bills such as this, Mr. Speaker. The difficulty is that entrepreneurs grow kind of like shoots. They are in a nursery and they sprout up. Look at the beginning of Dell Computer. It was in the dorm of Michael Dell while he was going to college. If you look at the history of HP, Hewlett-Packard, one of the world's biggest computer manufacturers, it started in the garage in Palo Alto. Speaker, the point is when there is a beginning of an entrepreneurial career, it's a sensitive time. It's sometimes usually 3 to 10% of any population even have the urges or the inclinations to be an entrepreneur. The difficulty is in that sensitive period of nurturing, we don't want the shoots in the nursery to be pulled out to be inspected. And what we've got here is a bill that mandates the sale of every small business person have a receipt and keeping books. The history of this bill goes back to when we were very concerned. There's so many guys out there who aren't having licenses. We got to get people with licenses. And this bill had in its origination, once people get a GET tax license, they're going to be good soldiers. Then another regulation came and said, well, if you have less than 10 transactions, you don't have to keep books or give receipts. But if you have more, which is the law now, you got to keep receipts. But the Department of Taxation said these guys are basically liars. And this is what I contend is the labeling and the profiling by our Department of Taxation to these neophyte entrepreneurs, Mr. Speaker, some of which and many of which are new immigrants to the state of Hawaii who bring new, fresh entrepreneurial energies to the state of Hawaii. So the point of this bill is to go and make sure that our police go and make sure not only they have a license, but they're giving receipts for any and all transactions, Mr. Speaker. Swap meets, garage sales, I even probably put it at lemonade stands that our little kids have. The question is, what's going to be next? If we went from licensing to receipts to bookkeeping, are we going to make our entrepreneurs like we have another bill about domestic workers? We're going to have different ways. You can't just, you got to have maybe your son or your daughter be paid minimum wage. How much is the nanny state going to go into this entrepreneurial spirit and kill it off, Speaker? That's what this bill does. And I don't say it because I'm protecting the small guy, even though I think the small guy needs a lot of protection. I'm protecting it because the Department of Taxation has big fish, over $1 billion of outstanding taxes of people that they're not going after because they don't have the resources. Going after these small guys is going to take a lot of resources. It's kind of like the microterrorism of Boston. You shut down a whole city just to catch a couple of guys. And with this bill, and the energy and the money that it's going to cost us, it's going to be penny wise and pound foolish. Speaker, having said that, I really mean the salvation of America is entrepreneurs. But you got to let them grow. You got to let them be nurtured. You can't be picking them up by the roots or, like with this bill, spraying Roundup on them so you think you're going to mature them. Thank you, Speaker.
All right.